You feel me?
Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank reminded many fans of another animated favorite, Kung Fu Panda. What do these movies have in common? Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank is an action-packed animated movie all about an underdog animal becoming a martial arts master. But despite how it sounds, this movie isn't a part of the Kung Fu Panda universe. So what are all the things these two movies have in common?
Okay, here goes nothing.
Number 1. Hank and Po. First and foremost, you probably noticed that Kung Fu Panda's titular panda, Po Ping, and Paws of Fury's main cat, Hank, have quite a few things in common.
I guess so.
While they're two very different types of animals, they are both furry creatures who can talk, walk on two legs, wear clothes, and win in a martial arts battle against a bad guy. Most animals definitely can't say the same. These two lovable goofballs are also voiced by two IRL lovable goofballs, Jack Black and Michael Cera. And while neither Po nor Hank seems like the most likely guy to be the toughest warrior in town and save their villages from impending doom, they both prove those around them wrong and save the day.
Did not see that coming.
We think if Po and Hank could meet, they'd be best buddies for life. Number 2. Jimbo and Master Shifu. Po and Hank aren't the only characters who have a counterpart in the other movie. So do their martial arts mentors. Po and Hank's respective mentors, Master Shifu and Jimbo, also have a lot in common. When Master Shifu, a famous kung fu warrior trainer, meets Po, he's eager to convince Po to give up on fighting.
Don't worry, Master, I will never quit!
To do so, he gives Po some seriously grueling training to get through. Jimbo gives Hank his fair share of tough training as well.
I'm not a cat, I'm a dog.
Nobody's perfect.
Jimbo is a samurai who's pretty reluctant to train Hank at first. Luckily though, both Jimbo and Master Shifu come around once they get to know their warriors in training. Number 3. Martial arts masters. Speaking of martial arts mentors, one of the most obvious similarities between the two films is the overlap of the two plots. They're both all about experts in martial arts. Both movies follow an underdog becoming a martial arts master and saving the town. We've got to admit, that's a pretty specific plot for two totally different animated film franchises. And it's really no surprise that the two movies have very similar training montages.
Wait, that music. Hey, this is the training montage, isn't it?
Number 4. All Animal World. Like many animated films, both Kung Fu Panda and Paws of Fury have talking animals as main characters instead of humans. Both movies don't have humans in their universes. Instead, the characters are all anthropomorphic animals.
Are you really a dog?
Yes, I am a dog.
Kung Fu Panda's list of animated animal characters is about as long and varied as its list of sequels. From bugs, bats, bears, and of course pandas, to snakes and an evil snow leopard, these movies have just about any creature you could ask for. Except humans. And Paws of Fury is basically all about cats. And one unsuspecting dog, of course. Number 5. Famous casts. For animated movies about talking animals, Kung Fu Panda and Paws of Fury both have some seriously impressive casts. The characters in both movies are voiced by many famous voice actors. Kung Fu Panda's main character, Po Ping, is famously voiced by none other than Jack Black.
Are you kidding me?
While Paws of Fury's Hank is played by Michael Cera.
Can't we just skip ahead to the part where I'm good?
No.
Kung Fu Panda's fabulously famous cast also includes Angelina Jolie, Seth Rogen, Lucy Liu, David Cross, and James Hong, to name a few. As for Paws of Fury, Michael Cera is joined by Samuel L. Jackson, Ricky Gervais, Mel Brooks, George Takei, and Gabriel Iglesias, among others.
Impressive.
We've also got a good feeling that the more well-known voices will be joining the cast of Paws of Fury in the future, since Kung Fu Panda's many sequels added many more stars to his roster, from Gary Oldman and Jean-Claude Van Damme in Kung Fu Panda 2 to J.K. Simmons and Kate Hudson in Kung Fu Panda 3. Another celeb that played a character in a Kung Fu Panda sequel is Everything Everywhere All at Once star Michelle Yeoh, who just so happens to play Yuki in Paws of Fury. These movies' red carpets must be Hollywood's hottest parties. Number 6. Defending Your Village. Both Kung Fu Panda and Paws of Fury share a common goal for their main characters. They're all about defending their hometowns. Both Po and Hank live in small villages, and their goal throughout their respective movies is to defend their hometowns from enemies.
Me.
Kung Fu Panda's main character has to defend the Valley of Peace, and Paws of Fury takes place in a fictional impoverished Japanese village called Kakamucho that also needs some serious protecting. Number 7. Sequels galore. We wouldn't be surprised to see Kung Fu Panda and Paws of Fury both end up with their fair share of sequels. While Paws of Fury just came out, there's an after-credits scene that assures us that it will spawn some sequels. Ika Chu appears in the scene, assuring the audience that he'll be returning for the inevitable Paws of Fury 2. And of course, Kung Fu Panda has inspired quite a few sequels from movies to TV series, and its franchise is still growing. Could the legend of Hank go on as long as the story of Po Ping has? With everything else these movies have in common, we certainly wouldn't be surprised. Number 8. Animation style. These two movies aren't just similar in their stories, they also look similar. Both movies have animation styles that look very much alike. From the beautiful scenery to the goofy look of these clothing-wearing animals, the characters in these two films could switch between worlds, and we don't think it would be too noticeable. Number 9. Parallel villains. Both Kung Fu Panda and Paws of Fury have villains, and these bad guys, or should we say bad cats, have a lot in common. In Kung Fu Panda there's Tai Lung the snow leopard, and in Paws of Fury there's Ika Chu the Somali cat. Not only are these villains both cats of sorts, they also have similar goals. Tai Lung wants to exact revenge on the Valley of Peace after escaping prison, while Ika Chu strives to expand his massive palace while destroying an entire village in the meantime.
Behold, the future!
Just imagine what would happen if these two diabolical felines came together. Crossover movie, anyone?
Finally, a worthy opponent.
Number 10. Unlikely heroes. Kung Fu Panda and Paws of Fury each tell a story of an unlikely hero who comes out on top in the end. The titular Kung Fu Panda and the titular Hank are both underdogs, no pun intended,
It's a dog! He's gonna ruin everything!
who go on to become unlikely heroes. Who doesn't love an underdog story? And an underdog story about an actual dog? Well, that's even better. Number 11. Similar settings. The settings of the two movies are a lot alike, and there are moments when the characters' surroundings feel as though they could be interchangeable. Kung Fu Panda is set in a fantasy version of ancient China in the fictional Valley of Peace, and Paws of Fury takes place in a fictional, anthropomorphic, cat-ridden village in Japan. From the scenes of nature to the village's architecture, these settings have a lot more in common than just the stories that are unfolding within them. Number 12. Senses of humor. Both of these movies are very much comedies, and with all the other similarities, it's really no surprise that they have similar senses of humor as well. From Po's antics in Kung Fu Panda to Paws of Fury's seriously silly villain. If you had a laugh or two while watching Kung Fu Panda, Paws of Fury is pretty much guaranteed to hit your funny bone.
The cuteness is strong with this one.
Number 13. Movie inspiration. Did you know that both Kung Fu Panda and Paws of Fury were both inspired by classic live-action films?
What was that?
Cinema aficionados may have noticed that Paws of Fury was modeled after the 1971 comedy classic Blazing Saddles. And not only did Paws of Fury have many callbacks to its source material, but Mel Brooks returned 50 years later to play the Shogun, a role very similar to his role of Governor William J. Lepetamain in Blazing Saddles.
It's not personal, it's just business.
Kung Fu Panda also has some famous source material. It was allegedly inspired by another major martial arts movie, the 2004 comedy Kung Fu Hustle. Did you notice all these similarities between the two movies? What else do you think the movies have in common? Let us know all your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe to The Things Animated to keep up with all your animated favorites.